Hi everyone, my name is Phyllis and I'm the owner of Moody Quilting Fabrics. We are doing part 5 of Off the Rail Quilt Along or Sew Along, whatever you want to call it. And now we are working on the very last unit. So now what we're going to do, last week we did this large 4 patch, and now we're going to cut these triangles and we are going to put them on to complete the last unit. So let me just switch to my overhead camera. And this is what we're doing. We're going to cut these and we're going to sew them onto the blocks. Okay. So now to do that, we need to do, okay, I have here 2 strips of whatever the pattern tells you to cut. You need 2 strips because what we're doing is we're going to cut squares, and you need for each center, you need for each one of these, you need 2 of these squares that I'm just about to cut. Okay, so you're gonna, what I do is I put, because I try to kind of do some easy shortcuts. I'm just trying to make sure this is all lined up nicely. I want to do things efficiently. So by stacking 2 together, 2 strips together, you're going to get your 2 squares that you need for one of these blocks. Okay, so you need 2 squares, and you're going to cut 2 squares, and then you're going to cut on the diagonal to get 4 triangles. So you need 2 squares for each of these blocks. For each of these blocks, you need 2 of these squares. So let me go ahead and get those cut. And let me check the measurement because I don't want to make a mistake. Oh, wait. Yeah. All right. I got the measurement. Sorry about that. All right. 1, 2, 3.5. So you're going to cut the squares, and then I'm going to cut one more. Okay, and then you're going to cut the amount that you need. And then once those are cut, you are going to take these and cut them one way on the diagonal. Okay, so there's for one block. Let me show you that again. I like to make sure that these are nicely lined up, because then if you line things up properly, you're going to get a good cut. And then you're going to cut on the diagonal, and then you'll have your 4 triangles. All right, so after that is done, we are going to get our squares. And what I like to do is, I'm going to get my pins. Hold on. Now, sometimes I don't pin for these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this this edge in half like this, because I want to find the center of that cut or that edge. And I'm going to just finger press that. And then I'm going to take it and line that finger pressed edge, finger pressed, mark against, hold on, against, you guys can't see that, I'm sorry, against this seam. I'm going to, the finger pressing fold is going to line up with that seam right there, this seam right here, okay? And you can just go ahead and put a quick little pin. I like to do half of them on the opposite. I like to turn it to the opposite and put these ones on and line that up, pin that. I'm going to do one more so you can see one more. So we're going to take one of these, we're going to fold this in half. I like to finger press gently and then line that finger pressed fold up to the seam of the 4 patch, and you can just put a little pin, and then I'll do the, at the same time I will do the other side. Just having some problems. I think I need to replace my pins. They're getting dull. And we're going to fold them again. Fold this one. Finger press. Put the finger press up to the seam allowance. The finger pressed fold. Line it up with the seam allowance and just put a little pin in. And you can do that with all of them before you take them to the sewing machine. And then you can take this, your stack, to the sewing machine, sew this, and turn around and sew this. So let's go to the sewing machine and we'll sew these up. So now we're at the sewing machine. I'm going to make sure things are lined up. We've got our 1/4 inch, and we are going to sew one side, and then, and what I probably will do is, if I have a stack of them, I do all the same side, I should say, and sew that all together, and then as chain sewing. And then what I would do is I would take this out and cut this apart. Sorry, I don't have my scissors with me. I would cut this apart and then sew the other side, lining up my fabrics, and then I would go down the other side and get that cut. Sewn, I should say, not cut. Okay, and let's do the other one. So like if I have like 7 of these or 8 of these or whatever the amount that I'm making of these for this quilt, or any quilt for that matter, I would actually sew all of them on one side and then come back, trim them, cut them apart, and then I would sew down all of the other side. Let's go back to the overhead. So now this is done, and we're going to get rid of these pins. We're just going to put them away, and I'm trimming up. I don't want to leave any threads. The more you trim now, the easier it is to get the quilt ready for machine quilting, or even hand quilting if you choose to do hand quilting. So let me just get rid of the cutting mat, and we're going to iron this, and then we'll continue. So I would iron this and this side. So let me get this ironed. There we go. And so then I would iron all of them. All right, so now we are ready to put the triangles on both these sides. So again, you're going to take 2 triangles. You are going to finger press, and then you're going to pin it in place, matching up the seam to the finger, the pleat or pressed. We're going to do the other side. I'm going to match it up, and then we're going to press this. Okay, let me show you that one more time. Okay, and one more. Matching up these seams with the little pleat in the triangle. All right, so let's go to the sewing machine and get these done. So here we are. And I'm just going to make sure everything is nicely lined up. It is. And we're just going to continue. I'm just going to plant my needle. There we go. And we're going to continue with the next one. And then if I had prepared more than one, I would just continue till all one side of the triangles are all sewn. And I'm just going to, there we go. That are all sewn together. And then I would trim them apart. There we go. Oh, my scissors migrated back over there. I would cut them apart just to make it easier to line things up and have more control. And now I will continue on the other side, making sure that everything is nicely lined up, which it is. There we go. Oh, I don't need, I still have one more to sew. So now we're going to continue with the next one. And like I said, and I've said it several times now, so I'm repeating myself, but you can just chain sew all one side of the square and then take them out of the machine, cut them apart, and then sew the other side. And it will save you a little bit of time. And there we go. So that's done. So now we're going to go back and we're going to trim them apart and iron them. I'm going to just trim that apart. I'm going to get rid of threads now while it's easiest to do it. And then I'm just going to see, yeah, there's a thread there. So I'm going to get rid of those threads and hold on. And then we will iron this. And now we're just going to trim off. I'm going to check to make sure these are the measurements that I want. And we're just going to trim off these little dog ears and maybe straighten up anything that's a little off. So I'm going to bring back the cutting mat, and actually I'm just going to wait to make sure that this is cooled off enough, which it is now. And we're going to bring this back, and we are going to just double check some things. Perfect. So we're just going to take and trim off. I'm just looking for a small ruler, and we're just going to trim off these little dog, like just straighten up the dog ears a little bit. Just trimming off the little dog ears, cleaning things up a little bit. There we go. And there it is. So you would continue just trimming off the dog ears and cleaning that up a little bit, and then you will have your squares done. So next week we will assemble block 2, and then we'll start putting the body together, okay? So I will see you next week, and happy quilting, and I'll put all the links down below, okay? And if you want to see more of these videos, subscribe and ring the bell. We'll see you next week. Happy quilting. Bye-bye.